Hello everyone, Mr. Tang back with another video for you. Today we finally get to talk about World of Warcraft. Now I've been playing Blizzard games for over a decade, and WoW has been my favourite all-time game and will probably stay that way. The other game that came close was the Witcher games, but I digress. I've been playing WoW regularly since Wrath of the Lich King, and I wish I knew about the game earlier and was able to experience it. But luckily with the re-release of Classic WoW and soon to be the first expansion of the Burning Crusade, hopefully coming around mid-2021, we'll be able to delve into that as well. I've always enjoyed leveling and PvP. PvE not so much, was mostly doing old content solo grinding for mounts and transmog stuff. I've been there on most expansion releases to enjoy the start of the cycle of 2 years of fresh content before the next expansion. However, being a PvPer, I didn't really like the way the game was going pretty much post Mist of Pandaria due to ability pruning and simplification of mechanics. But aside from that, enjoyed being part of the WoW community throughout the years. Battle for Azeroth made me take a break from WoW. I played in release for 2 weeks, got 2 characters to max level and geared, then quit, only coming back a couple of times to see the same old. Anyways, when Shadowlands came out, I was debating whether I even want to try it since BFA was such a disappointment and I was having a blast in Classic. Naturally, I ended up getting Shadowlands 3 days after release and have been pleasantly surprised by the experience. I only had 2 classes at level 50 after scaling, so decided to go with my Retribution Paladin to level. I'm sure you all heard what a fantastic job the zone design team did. They look amazing. The only downside is the oversaturated colours of the zones are tight, especially Bastion and Ardenweald being too sharp for my liking. The structured leveling storyline actually is a very nice change from the scale in any zone you want, where you have no linear story going on. I was enjoying Bastion so much I ended up doing all the side quests, so by the time I finished the main story to progress into Maldraxxus, I was level 55 or even close to 56. I specifically don't usually play during the beta or pre-patches much to experience it fresh when the expansion drops, and although a hardcore PvP at heart, I take it easy and have fun during leveling, especially considering the PvP season only drops 2 weeks after release. That being said, I didn't know you need to complete the full storyline of all zones on your first character to be able to choose the alternative path for alts. So when I did get to 60, I literally just landed in Revendreth and has an entire 25% of the main campaign in front of me. Personally, I don't really like dark themes much, hence being true to my class fantasy of being a holy warrior, I of course chose Kyrian as my covenant, and actually ended up selecting them for my ult despite wanting to take Venthyr. Will probably happen on my third character though for the armored bear mount, that looks really cool. So as you probably guessed, Bastion is by far my favourite zone, love the Covenant mount. Naturally, Maldraxxus received the short end of the stick of the 4 Covenant zones, not only visually but also lore-wise, with that whole house and Draka being a hybrid warrior rogue thing. Revendreth was surprisingly really cool, the vibe of high aristocratic Draculas really well portrayed. I found Ardenweald to be alright, nothing too crazy, but would place them third because the arrogant queen denied Ursoc help, essentially killing him, and almost denied helping Ysera. All in all, leveling in Shadowlands has been fantastic, and with great replayability as well. I obviously did the entire main storyline on my first toon, and for my second I decided to start the main story and replay until I completed Bastion, and then swap to Threat of Fate, and finish the optional side story for Ardenweald for the Pathfinder achievement to get flying if and when that becomes a thing. The important thing is that Shadowlands seem to be extremely old friendly, at least in terms of leveling. Even for the Covenant, if you do all 4 Threads of Fate paths for all zones, you'll get 1 renown for each completion. Now the Maw. I think there's been lots of opinions going around marking it as the worst zone in the expansion. Not really sure how I feel about the Maw at the moment. I'm of relatively neutral opinion of it. It's mostly PvE content, so I just hope it doesn't get too repetitive. Speaking of the Maw, Torghast has been one of the major features of the expansion, and while it's fun to do, it's pure PvE, and personally I know I will get bored of it if I do it more than 10 times. I really like the Legion expansion as a whole, there was tons to do and I even ended up getting into Mythic Plus dungeons, tanking through them, so maybe I'll give that a shot in Shadowlands too. I only ended up doing 3 dungeons, which were pretty good, aesthetically very nice as always. In hindsight, I should have used my hybrid class opportunity to minimize waiting time and test out all of the dungeons out there, but we'll probably have to do it with a pure DPS class now. I'm mostly about PvP, so I can definitely talk from that perspective. The sole fact that so many flavorful abilities returned and unpruning is very nice. It's really enjoyable at the moment, even if there are some specs, specifically like sub-rogues and marksmanship hunters, which are the top 2 currently most broken. For battlegrounds, balanced druids are kings of AoE damage, but still need to see how warlocks and unholy DKs play out. Since Shadow Priests got their change in the pre-patch, they've been really solid as well, doing really well against melee classes, and overall a really solid spec. Another spec which surprised me is Arcane Mages and their ability to instantly throw out big numbers. Warriors on the other hand feel very sloppy, and Demon Hunters have their damage tuned down, so we'll need to see how things develop when the season begins. Arena will definitely be interesting to see. My prediction for the top 3 comps we'll see are the original Rogue Mage combo with any healer, Walking Dead, and a combination of any 2 casters will shine, especially later in the patch. Because warriors are relatively underwhelming in the moment, comps like TSG and Turbo will probably have to wait. Having a Retribution Paladin, the only viable comps I can play are Cupid and Vanguards, but we'll have to see how the season unfolds. I did waste my level 50 boost on my Hunter, so I guess I need to level a 3rd character either way. So the big question is, should you get Shadowlands? And the answer to that is yes, you should. Definitely go for it, especially how it's a new expansion, there's tons of stuff to do. Even if you're a Wrath baby like myself, or a classic Die Hard fan, there's definitely something for you to enjoy in the Shadowlands. So there you have it, a brief insight of my Shadowlands experiences and what I think how the patch will play out. Hope you liked the video. Perhaps it will help you decide if you want to level, or maybe you're just thinking of picking up the game over the festive season. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like and comment below what your thoughts on Shadowlands are so far, and how the release experience was for you. Thank you for sticking around, consider subscribing as there'll be plenty more to come, and I'll see you all in the next one.